Mitch Sowards and his wife owned an IT services firm for 30 years.
To the
He
day.
was proud to, sorry?
To the day.
Now?
Well, wait, from the day I founded it to the day we sold it was exactly
Amazing.
30 years.
Welcome to Beyond Leadership, Adopting a Coaching Mindset. In this series, our conversations aren't about biography or polished advice. They're about how decisions are made in the real world when the pressure is on. We'll anchor on one situation where the path wasn't obvious and explore what goes on in the mind of a leader when confronted with real trade-offs, imperfect information, and the need to move anyway. This podcast is brought to you by Peer Plaza. Human help, instantly. He was proud to have built a successful and thriving company. In 2021, he and his partners sold to a larger firm. Mitch stayed on with the buyer, striving to ensure the best outcome for his clients and employees. At the end of 2024, he departed and took up semi-retirement as an executive coach, mentor, and consultant for C-suite executives. Welcome to the program, Mitch.
I'm very happy to be here.
And we should probably say that we have worked together before.
We have, just a little bit. You served as my executive coach for about 8 years before we sold the company.
That's right. So I think the first thing we should do is set the scene and tell our listeners what's the situation that we're walking into right now.
Yeah. So it's interesting that me and my partners, my wife was one partner, of course, but we also had 3 younger partners. And for many years, and I'm talking like a decade, we had a plan for the continuation of the company, right? Kind of like, at least in America, the law firms or CPA firms, right, where the older partners, when they're ready to retire, the younger partners cough up the money to buy them out, and you move up the chain, become more and more senior partners. And that was our plan. We call that being a generational company, right? I'm not leaving the company to my children, but I'm leaving it to the generations behind me. And it'd been that plan for like 10 years, right? And then as that horizon approached, right, we started to say, okay, gentlemen, because they were all men, gentlemen, it's time. And here's the price that I want to sell, right? And I have to say, written into our partnership agreement was a formula calculating a value if a partner was forced to sell. Partner wanted to voluntarily depart the partnership and was going to force his partners to buy.
That was part of your shareholders agreement.
Yeah, but it was never intended to be a premium price, just a fair price, right? So I did. I asked more than the minimum price. I said, here's the value I have placed on the company. Here's what my stake is worth. I want you gentlemen to pay that price. And they were like, we're not sure that's fair. Is that really a fair price? We were perfectly clear for a decade on what was supposed to happen. And then as the date approached, suddenly there was uncertainty. So no problem. We said, we're going to go out and we're going to, we'll get a company to come in and value us. So we did. And we paid a company to do a valuation, and the value came in 5 times higher than what I had said.
That's not chump change. That's millions of dollars. It will be curious to see if this changes the relationship between Mitch and his partners as we go on.
So, we get that valuation back, and I'll have to say, we also said, we sure that's a good valuation, right? So we paid a second company to also do the valuation, and they came back with the same number, right? Or virtually the same number. So I went back to my partners and I said, guess what, guys? Now that we know the company's worth 5 times what we expected, I'm raising my price, right? Now I said, I'm willing to sell to you guys for only half that value, right?
That sounds generous to me.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you got a new valuation and it was 5 times more than what you had figured on.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, hey guys, everything has changed, it's now 5 times more, you offered that to them for half of that, so 2.5 times more.
Yep, that's exactly correct. And I felt comfortable doing so because, my wife and I had our own retirement plans and, nest egg, and we knew what number we needed, and this was going to be so much bigger than what we needed that I felt very comfortable doing that. Remember, legacy, right? I want my customers and my employees to all end up in a better place. So I'm perfectly happy to do that. Seems simple, right? Didn't work out that way. I got 3 younger partners, and one of them, after I told him the price, says, "Where do I sign? I'm ready. Let's do this." And one of them said, "I don't know if I'm willing to borrow that much money," right? Because they didn't have the money in cash, right? They were going to have to go out and get a big loan, right? And they were going to be on the hook for this loan for 10 years, right? And one of them is just, "I don't know if I'm willing to put my name on a loan that big," right?
Understandable.
Yeah. And then one of them said, "We're worth 5 times what we thought. We should just sell." Right? Let's just sell the company if we're worth 5 times what we thought we were worth. I was like, oh, man. So we went back to the drawing board and we said, okay, there was also still some doubt. Despite the 2 valuations, there's some doubt. Will anybody really pay that much for our company? So he said, well, let's try it out. We will put the company on the market, use the same broker, the one who did the first valuation, and say, see what happens. And then that was followed by 2 years of what I call kissing frogs.
I think what Mitch means by kissing frogs relates to the Frog Prince fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm, where the frog must be kissed before it turns into a prince.
So just to describe the process, the brokerage firm.
Before you go into the process, Mitch, I want to ask you, how difficult is it to sell an IT company?
There's a couple of different answers to that question. If all you're interested in is getting the maximum amount of money that you can get, it's not that hard, right? Valuations are up. There's tons of money just, sloshing around from private equity, and they're all trying to build the biggest company they can. There's lots of money out there. And this was back in, 2019, 2020, and we thought we were at the peak. But I've talked to that same broker since then. He says, but it just keeps going up. We haven't reached the peak yet. So it's easy to sell your company if the only thing you're interested in. And if you have a well-run company. And you have to have a well-run company, and the fundamentals all have to be there, So even if you did, and I know this, even if you did had a very well-run company, still the due diligence was not so simple, was it? We did it at almost breakneck speed, although my understanding is that a lot of these deals go at breakneck speed these days, in under 3 months. And at the time, I was told, there's no way you can get this done in 3 months. You normally have 6 months of due diligence, but we got it done in 3 months.
Yeah. But still, it required a lot of focus, a lot of effort to do that.
My partners had to keep running the company, right? So most of that effort fell on me, although there's a little cautionary tale there that'll come up later. Almost all of that labor fell on me during that due diligence period. But remember, I said that there's 2 answers to that question. One, if all you're interested in is money. But if you're interested in you want to preserve something, right? You want something to get better. You want your clients to be happy. You have to kiss a lot of frogs, right? And sometimes you're the princess, and sometimes you're the frog.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're mentioning you want your customers to be happy. I remember how much intensity you put into making sure that your employees were happy.
Yes.
With the deal. That was very important to you at the time.
Yes, but there's more cautionary tale here, right?
Sure.
This story is not all happy endings, and it wasn't a smooth road, right? No. So kissing a lot of frogs, right? And sometimes you're the princess and sometimes you're the frog, because the broker brings these giant list of of candidate. And, you get to screen them kind of like a dating app, I don't like that one. Like, oh, gotta check this one out a little more. I got to read their profile, right? And so there was plenty of rejecting. No, this one's not going to work out. And we got rejected quite a bit, right? We had people say, you're too big, you're too small, you're in the wrong geography, we want this specialty or that. So, a lot of princesses rejected us, right? And we rejected a lot of people, but even when you pare it down, you really get into some, I'm going to call it dating, right? With serious ones that you're really interested in. And they don't, we didn't get married, right? There was plenty of them that we dated and investigated, and then it didn't work out. And then there was one that we thought was going to work, and we said, okay, let's do this. And we got into, I'm going to call it pre-diligence. We never really got diligence because they could never come up with the financing, right? So we had a 6-month period where we were kind of, I wouldn't say locked in because the term sheet didn't say we couldn't look at other people, but we didn't.
What was the primary reason why you would reject?
In some cases, I already knew them because they were a competitor. And I had some kind of inside knowledge, and I was like, nope, my employees would never like working for that guy, right? This is never going to work. And others, it was too exotic. Their business model was too different from our own. Nope, this is not going to work, right? And then some of them, it was just geography. It's like, this is a company out of California that wants to open a San Antonio office. No, this is not going to work. And then once you got into the dating, you're guessing whether there's going to be a good cultural fit. And sometimes the answer was, no, we don't think this is going to be a good cultural fit. And sometimes they rejected us for that same reason. I see you're taking notes there.
Yes, I am. I'm wondering, well, I'll spill beans on that note that I just took. I'm wondering, why would it not work out being a subsidiary for a company in California, for instance? It seems that you'd have a little bit of autonomy. You could almost maintain the way you run the company to a certain degree, but you didn't feel that would work.
It could work, right? It depends on their commitment to the community. And I have to say that we did business in San Antonio for 30 years, and I watched companies from out of town come to town, buy a local competitor, and 2 years later they were gone, out of business. So it was a high-risk proposition in my mind, having watched that happen for decades.
Yeah.
San Antonio has a certain culture. It's different than Houston, Texas. It's different than Dallas, Texas. So even companies coming from nearby or relatively nearby failed because of cultural differences between cities.
So interestingly enough, you become a kind of perfect seller because you are interested in the legacy, which is important for the buyer.
It should be important for the buyer, right? Very important for the buyer. They don't want the expansion into your city to fail.
You become a great filter for them.
We've already talked about some of the bumpiness, but this is where the story starts to go a little sideways. So obviously we found a buyer, right? There was a company that was already Texas-based. They were more or less family-owned, which was attractive to us. They already had a Texas presence. They had offices in Dallas and in Houston. And they had a presence in kind of the Austin area with some remote workers. They also had an office in Seattle. That was kind of unusual. I call that far, far west Texas, Seattle, Washington. And so expanding to San Antonio was a really good fit for them. And it seemed like a good fit to us for the cultural reasons I just told you about, and also because there would be that little bit of autonomy. But things did not work out the way we expected, is the way I would put it.
You can hear how carefully Mitch considers every aspect of ensuring the success of the sale of his company. He even says that if all you're looking for is the money, then selling an IT company is easy peasy. Turns out that ensuring the welfare of his employees and safeguarding his legacy is anything but that.
Perhaps we didn't do enough due diligence. And in fact, my wife would say that part of the fact that I took on the whole burden of doing the kissing of the frogs meant that my partners, weren't involved. And if they had been more involved, they might have put the brakes on this deal. But they trusted me.
What do you take away from that? Just that idea of, had you involved your partners a little bit more, maybe, we don't know, but maybe they would have shut it down.
So this is kind of funny. I know other business owners who are sole proprietors, right? They're the only owner of the company. And they have sometimes asked me, Mitch, what's it like having partners? Was that good or was that bad? And I unequivocally tell them, it was fantastic, right? You always hear, 2 heads are better than one. Well, I'll tell you, 5 heads are better than 1, too. It is wonderful to have that many smart, committed, dedicated friends on your team.
Owners.
And, yes. And in this case, I foolishly did not take enough advantage of those 5 heads. Right. So I think that something we had done so well outside of this arena, it was a miss.
Right. It's so refreshing to hear somebody admit that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there was another big miss too, unfortunately. And this is a bad one. And that was that we always ran an open book company, and we were very open. I mean, not exclusively or 100% open. We had amongst the employee population, we had a smaller group that we called the leadership team. And we shared even more with them, right, to kind of making sure that initiatives got the right input and we had the right stakeholders in the room whenever we were making significant decisions and stuff like that. And normally, I would have involved the leadership team in such an important decision. But everyone, without exception, told me, do not do that. It is a terrible, terrible mistake. You cannot say even a hint to any of the employees, right? The broker told me that. The buyer told me that. Soon as you let word out that you're thinking about selling, your employees will start quitting. Words will get out to your clients and clients will start. I mean, you cannot say anything to anyone. And in fact, the buyer even told me a horror story about he had done an acquisition previously and that owner had a philosophy like mine, and he told his employees, and all those bad things started happening. And then he said, now I have to offer you less money. You just destroyed the value of this company, and so now it's not even worth what I was offering you before. So we kept our mouths shut, and we didn't say a word to anyone. And so when the day finally came where we did make the announcement, after so many years of building trust, the employees felt betrayed. I had one that quit almost immediately. One of our best guys quit almost immediately. Now, I later discovered that he'd been kind of looking around at other jobs anyway, but he quit almost immediately. Some people stayed on out of loyalty to us for a while, a few months, and then left. So it was a very bad feeling. Let me say that.
I want to look at this from the perspective that, on the one hand, even selling the company can feel like a betrayal for their hard work and their loyalty. And the question is, we don't know what would have happened if you had told them that you're going to sell the company. They may have, in fact, started to leave before that, like the other companies did, or like the employees from the other companies did, and it would have been worse for them.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no way to know. And there was another aspect to this too. This didn't happen over a short period of time. We spent 2 years kissing frogs. Well, if you told people at the beginning of 2 years, even though there was no guarantee we were going to find a buyer, there was no guarantee that we would, actually sell the company, right? It would have had bad fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right, for a long period of time. That would have been really bad.
If we were to roll back time, would you do it differently?
Well, this is where I think I maybe I would have relied on those 5 heads more. I certainly would have explored that opportunity more, and I certainly would have explored when we got closer to a deal, right? Not during the 2 years of kissing frogs, but when we really thought this might happen, I might have involved at least some members of that leadership team to get a handle on one, what to expect, and two, maybe how to handle it better, right?
So maybe not letting the company know, but letting people on the leadership team know, people who were on the leadership team that weren't owners.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, but there's still risk there, right? You know, one of my partners even told me that at the time, he told me, he says, if we tell even one person, right, the secret will not be kept. You know, Mitch, you don't understand how things work. Mitch, you don't understand how things work. You know, there's a gossip gets out, right?
After work beer does.
If you tell even one person, it's going to get out, right?
So again, I want to put you on the spot here, Mitch, because people want to know, should they tell their employees or should they tell their key employees or not? Let's go for a yes or a no here, just to make it really tough on you.
I can't. I guess I could, what I would say is I would say yes, if you have built up enough trust and relationship with.
Mitch Sowards and his wife owned an IT services firm for 30 years.
To the day.
He was proud to, sorry?
To the day.
Now?
Well, wait, from the day I founded it to the day we sold it was exactly
Amazing.
30 years.
Welcome to Beyond Leadership, adopting a coaching mindset. In this series, our conversations aren't about biography or polished advice. They're about how decisions are made in the real world when the pressure is on. We'll anchor on one situation where the path wasn't obvious and explore what goes on in the mind of a leader when confronted with real trade-offs, imperfect information, and the need to move anyway. This podcast is brought to you by Peer Plaza. Human help, instantly. He was proud to have built a successful and thriving company. In 2021, he and his partners sold to a larger firm. Mitch stayed on with the buyer, striving to ensure the best outcome for his clients and employees. At the end of 2024, he departed and took up semi-retirement as an executive coach, mentor, and consultant for C-suite executives. Welcome to the program, Mitch.
I'm very happy to be here.
And we should probably say that we have worked together before.
We have, just a little bit. You served as my executive coach for about 8 years before we sold the company.
That's right. So I think the first thing we should do is set the scene and tell our listeners what's the situation that we're walking into right now.
Yeah. So it's interesting that me and my partners, my wife was one partner, of course, but we also had 3 younger partners. And for many years, and I'm talking like a decade, we had a plan for the continuation of the company, right? Kind of like, at least in America, you know, the law firms or CPA firms, right, where the older partners, when they're ready to retire, the younger partners cough up the money to buy them out, and you know, you move up the chain, you know, become more and more senior partners. And that was our plan. We call that being a generational company, right? I'm not leaving the company to my children, but I'm leaving it to the generations behind me. And it'd been that plan for like 10 years, right? And then as that horizon approached, right, we started to say, okay, you know, gentlemen, because they were all men, gentlemen, it's time. And here's the price that I want to sell, right? And I have to say, written into our partnership agreement was a formula calculating a value if a partner was forced to sell. Partner wanted to voluntarily depart the partnership and was going to force his partners to buy.
That was part of your shareholders agreement.
Yeah, but it was never intended to be a premium price, just a fair price, right? So I did. I asked more than the minimum price. I said, here's the value I have placed on the company. Here's what my stake is worth. I want you gentlemen to pay that price. And they were like, we're not sure that's fair. Is that really a fair price? You know, we were perfectly clear for a decade on what was supposed to happen. And then as the date approached, you know, suddenly there was uncertainty. So no problem. We said, we're going to go out and we're going to, we'll get a company to come in and value us. So we did. And we paid a company to do a valuation, and the value came in 5 times higher than what I had said.
That's not chump change. That's millions of dollars. It will be curious to see if this changes the relationship between Mitch and his partners as we go on.
So, we get that valuation back, and I'll have to say, we also said, are we sure that's a good valuation, right? So we paid a second company to also do the valuation, and they came back with the same number, right, or virtually the same number. So I went back to my partners and I said, guess what, guys? Now that we know the company's worth 5 times what we expected, I'm raising my price, right? Now I said, I'm willing to sell to you guys for only half that value, right?
That sounds generous to me.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you got a new valuation and it was 5 times more than what you had figured on. Mm-hmm. And instead of saying, hey guys, everything has changed, it's now 5 times more, you offered that to them for half of that, so 2.5 times more.
Yep, that's exactly correct. And I felt comfortable doing so because, my wife and I had our own retirement plans and, nest egg, and we knew what number we needed, and this was going to be so much bigger than what we needed that I felt very comfortable doing that. Remember, legacy, right? I want my customers and my employees to all end up in a better place. So I'm perfectly happy to do that. Seems simple, right? Didn't work out that way. I got 3 younger partners, and one of them, after I told him the price, says, where do I sign? I'm ready. Let's do this. And one of them said, I don't know if I'm willing to borrow that much money, right? Because they didn't have the money in cash, right? They were going to have to go out and get a big loan, right? And they were going to be on the hook for this loan for 10 years, right? And one of them is just, I don't know if I'm willing to put my name on a loan that big, right?
Understandable.
Yeah. And then one of them said, we're worth 5 times what we thought. We should just sell. Right? Let's just sell the company if we're worth 5 times what we thought we were worth. I was like, oh, man. So we went back to the drawing board and we said, okay, there was also still some doubt. Despite the 2 valuations, there's some doubt. Will anybody really pay that much for our company? So he said, well, let's try it out. We will put the company on the market, use the same broker, the one who did the first valuation, and say, see what happens. And then that was followed by 2 years of what I call kissing frogs.
I think what Mitch means by kissing frogs relates to the Frog Prince fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm, where the frog must be kissed before it turns into a prince.
So just to describe the process, the brokerage firm.
Before you go into the process, Mitch, I want to ask you, how difficult is it to sell an IT company?
There's a couple of different answers to that question. If all you're interested in is getting the maximum amount of money that you can get, it's not that hard, right? Valuations are up. There's tons of money just, sloshing around from private equity, and they're all trying to build the biggest company they can. There's lots of money out there. And this was back in, 2019, 2020, and we thought we were at the peak. But I've talked to that same broker since then. He says, but it just keeps going up. We haven't reached the peak yet. So it's easy to sell your company if the only thing you're interested in. And if you have a well-run company, and you have to have a well-run company, and the fundamentals all have to be there,
So even if you did, and I know this, even if you did had a very well-run company, still the due diligence was not so simple, was it?
We did it at almost breakneck speed, although my understanding is that a lot of these deals go at breakneck speed these days, in under 3 months. And at the time, I was told, there's no way you can get this done in 3 months. You normally have 6 months of due diligence, but we got it done in 3 months.
Yeah. But still, it required a lot of focus, a lot of effort to do that.
My partners had to keep running the company, right? So most of that effort fell on me, although there's a little cautionary tale there that'll come up later. Almost all of that labor fell on me during that due diligence period. But remember, I said that there's two answers to that question. One, if all you're interested in is money. But if you're interested in you want to preserve something, right? You want something to get better. You want your clients to be happy. You have to kiss a lot of frogs, right? And sometimes you're the princess and sometimes you're the frog.
Yeah, I
right?
just want to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're mentioning you want your customers to be happy. I remember how much intensity you put into making sure that your employees were happy.
Yes,
with the deal. That was very important to you at the time.
Yes, but there's more cautionary tale here, right?
Sure.
This story is not all happy endings, and it wasn't a smooth road, right? No. So, kissing a lot of frogs, right? And sometimes you're the princess, and sometimes you're the frog, because the broker brings these giant list of candidates, and you get to screen them kind of like a dating app. I don't even like that one. Like, gotta check this one out a little more. I got to read their profile, right? And so there was plenty of rejecting. No, this one's not going to work out. And we got rejected quite a bit, right? We had people say, you're too big, you're too small, you're in the wrong geography. We want this specialty or that. So, a lot of princesses rejected us, right? And we rejected a lot of people. But even when you pare it down, you really get into some, I'm going to call it dating, right? With serious ones that you're really interested in. And they don't, we didn't get married, right? There was plenty of them that we dated and investigated, and then it didn't work out. And then there was one that we thought was going to work, and we said, okay, let's do this. And we got into, I'm going to call it pre-diligence. We never really got diligence because they could never come up with the financing, right? So we had a 6-month period where we were kind of, I wouldn't say locked in because the term sheet didn't say we couldn't look at other people, but we didn't.
What was the primary reason why you would reject?
In some cases, I already knew them because they were a competitor, and I had some kind of inside knowledge, and I was like, nope, my employees would never like working for that guy, right? This is never going to work. And others, it was too exotic. Their business model was too different from our own. No, this is not going to work, right? And then some of them, it was just geography. It's like, this is a company out of California that wants to open a San Antonio office. No, this is not going to work. And then once you got into the dating, you're guessing whether there's going to be a good cultural fit. And sometimes the answer was, no, we don't think this is going to be a good cultural fit. And sometimes they rejected us for that same reason. I see you're taking notes there.
Yes, I am. I'm wondering, well, I'll spill beans on that note that I just took. I'm wondering, why would it not work out being a subsidiary for a company in California, for instance? It seems that you'd have a little bit of autonomy. You could almost maintain the way you run the company to a certain degree, but you didn't feel that would work.
It could work, right? It depends on their commitment to the community. And I have to say that we did business in San Antonio for 30 years, and I watched companies from out of town come to town, buy a local competitor, and 2 years later they were gone, out of business. So it was a high-risk proposition in my mind, having watched that happen for decades. Yeah. San Antonio has a certain culture. It's different than Houston, Texas. It's different than Dallas, Texas. So even companies coming from nearby or relatively nearby failed because of cultural differences between cities.
So interestingly enough, you become a kind of perfect seller because you are interested in the legacy, which is important for the buyer.
It should be important for the buyer, right? Very important for the buyer. They don't want the expansion into your city to fail.
You become a great filter for them.
We've already talked about some of the bumpiness, but this is where the story starts to go a little sideways. So obviously we found a buyer, right? There was a company that was already Texas-based. They were more or less family-owned, which was attractive to us. They already had a Texas presence. They had offices in Dallas and in Houston, and they had a presence in kind of the Austin area with some remote workers. They also had an office in Seattle. That was kind of unusual. I call that far, far west Texas, Seattle, Washington. And so expanding to San Antonio was a really good fit for them. And it seemed like a good fit to us for the cultural reasons I just told you about, and also because there would be that little bit of autonomy. I mean, but things did not work out the way we expected, is the way I would put it.
You can hear how carefully Mitch considers every aspect of ensuring the success of the sale of his company. He even says that if all you're looking for is the money, then selling an IT company is easy peasy. Turns out that ensuring the welfare of his employees and safeguarding his legacy is anything but that.
Perhaps we didn't do enough due diligence. And in fact, my wife would say that part of the fact that I took on the whole burden of doing the kissing of the frogs meant that my partners, weren't involved. And if they had been more involved, they might have put the brakes on this deal. But they trusted me.
What do you take away from that? Just that idea of, had you involved your partners a little bit more, maybe, we don't know, but maybe they would have shut it down.
So this is kind of funny. I know other business owners who are sole proprietors, right? They're the only owner of the company. And they have sometimes asked me, Mitch, what's it like having partners? Was that good or was that bad? And I unequivocally tell them, it was fantastic, right? You always hear, 2 heads are better than one. Well, I'll tell you, 5 heads are better than 1 too. It is wonderful to have that many smart, committed, dedicated friends on your team.
Owners.
And, yes. And in this case, I foolishly did not take enough advantage of those 5 heads. Right? So I think that something we had done so well outside of this arena, it was a miss.
Right. So refreshing to hear somebody admit that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there was another big miss too, unfortunately. And this is a bad one. And that was that we always ran an open book company, and we were very open. I mean, not exclusively or 100% open. We had amongst the employee population, we had a smaller group that we called the leadership team. And we shared even more with them, right, to kind of making sure that initiatives got the right input and we had the right stakeholders in the room whenever we were making significant decisions and stuff like that. And normally, I would have involved the leadership team in such an important decision. But everyone, without exception, told me, do not do that. It is a terrible, terrible mistake. You cannot say even a hint to any of the employees, right? The broker told me that. The buyer told me that. Soon as you let word out that you're thinking about selling, your employees will start quitting. Words will get out to your clients and clients will start. I mean, you cannot say anything to anyone. And in fact, the buyer even told me a horror story about he had done an acquisition previously and that owner had a philosophy like mine, and he told his employees, and all those bad things started happening. And then he said, now I have to offer you less money. You just destroyed the value of this company, and so now it's not even worth what I was offering you before. So we kept our mouths shut, and we didn't say a word to anyone. And so when the day finally came where we did make the announcement, after so many years of building trust, the employees felt betrayed. I had one that quit almost immediately. One of our best guys quit almost immediately. Now, I later discovered that he'd been kind of looking around at other jobs anyway, but he quit almost immediately. Some people stayed on out of loyalty to us for a while, a few months, and then left. So it was a very bad feeling. Let me say that.
I want to look at this from the perspective that, on the one hand, even selling the company can feel like a betrayal for their hard work and their loyalty. And the question is, we don't know what would have happened if you had told them that you're going to sell the company. They may have, in fact, started to leave before that, like the other companies did, or like the employees from the other companies did, and it would have been worse for them.
Yeah. There is no way to know. And there was another aspect to this too. This didn't happen over a short period of time. We spent 2 years kissing frogs. Well, if you told people at the beginning of 2 years, even though there was no guarantee we were going to find a buyer, there was no guarantee that we would, actually sell the company, right? It would have had bad fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right, for a long period of time. That would have been really bad.
If we were to roll back time, would you do it differently?
Well, this is where I think I maybe I would have relied on those 5 heads more. I certainly would have explored that opportunity more, and I certainly would have explored when we got closer to a deal, right? Not during the 2 years of kissing frogs, but when we really thought this might happen, I might have involved at least some members of that leadership team to get a handle on, 1, what to expect, and 2, maybe how to handle it better, right?
So maybe not letting the company know, but letting people on the leadership team know, people who were on the leadership team that weren't owners.
That's correct. I mean, but there's still risk there, right? One of my partners even told me that at the time, he says, if we tell even one person, right, the secret will not be kept. Mitch, you don't understand how things work. Mitch, you don't understand how things work. There's a gossip gets out, right?
After work, beer does.
If you tell even one person, it's going to get out, right?
So again, I want to put you on the spot here, Mitch, because people want to know, should they tell their employees or should they tell their key employees or not? Let's go for a yes or a no here, just to make it really tough on you.
I can't. I guess I could, what I would say is I would say yes, if you have built up enough trust and relationship with the person you want to tell. No, if you don't have, it's not guaranteed, but if you don't have really strong faith in that person.
What I find most interesting as this story unfolds is the fact that Mitch, whom I've had as a client for 8 years and as a close friend for nearly another 8, is one of the most trustworthy people I know. He's the kind of person whose hands you would place your life without hesitation. For that reason, it confounds me, and likely